The antique necklace was gone. Not misplaced, not temporarily missing. Gone. In its place lay a crisp white note, my mother's elegant handwriting mocking me with its perfect curves. Darling, you really need to let go of these old-fashioned trinkets. I've done you a favor. I'm Serenity. And until yesterday, I was the proud guardian of my grandmother Penny's most treasured possession, a Victorian-era sapphire necklace that had been in our family for generations. The necklace wasn't just jewelry. It was a symbol of everything my grandmother stood for: resilience, grace, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing who you are. Mom! I stormed down the hallway of our family home, where I'd been staying temporarily while my apartment underwent repairs. Mom, where is it? I found her in her pristine white kitchen, delicately sipping her morning coffee. She looked up, perfectly manicured eyebrows raised in feigned innocence. Where's what, dear? Grandma's necklace, the one she specifically left to me in her will, the one you had absolutely no right to touch. My voice shook with barely contained rage. Oh, that old thing? She waved her hand dismissively, her fresh French manicure catching the morning light. I sold it to help pay for my little enhancement. She gestured to her face, which I now noticed looked unusually tight and glowing. Besides, you never wear it. It was just collecting dust in that shabby wooden box. You did what? The room started spinning. That necklace was mine, legally mine. Grandma gave it to me because she knew you'd do something like this. Darling, she set down her coffee cup with a delicate clink. You're becoming hysterical. It's unbecoming. The necklace was outdated, just like your entire outlook on life. When was the last time you went on a date or updated your wardrobe? You spend all your time at that veterinary clinic, covered in animal hair and God knows what else. I gripped the kitchen counter to steady myself. Where did you sell it? That's hardly important. Where? That little antique shop downtown. The owner was quite reasonable about the whole thing. She touched her face again, admiring her reflection in the microwave door. And look at the results. Money well spent, don't you think? My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Peyton. Coffee? You sound upset. This isn't over, I told my mother, already heading for the door. What you did was theft, plain and simple. Oh, please. She laughed, the sound like tinkling glass. Who's going to believe you? I'm your mother. I was simply helping my daughter make better choices. At the local coffee shop, Peyton listened as I recounted everything, her expression growing darker with each detail. Your mom's always been something else, she said, stirring her latte. But this is next level. The worst part? I pulled out my phone, showing her the photo of the necklace I'd taken last week. Grandma left me a letter with it. She said the necklace was meant to remind me that true beauty comes from standing up for what's right, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. What are you going to do? I took a deep breath, remembering the last conversation I had with Grandma Penny before she passed. She'd clasped the necklace around my neck, her hands trembling but her eyes clear and determined. Keep this safe, Serenity, she'd said. Your mother. She never understood its real value. It's not about the sapphires or the gold. It's about remembering who you are, especially when others try to make you forget. I'm going to that antique shop, I told Peyton, standing up, and then I'm going to make sure my mother never forgets what she did. Want company? No, but thanks. This is something I need to do alone. As I drove downtown, my mother's words echoed in my head, mixing with memories of Grandma Penny. The necklace had survived 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and countless family crises. It had been passed down through generations of strong women who faced their challenges head-on. Now it was gone, traded for a few Botox injections and whatever else my mother had done to her face. I parked outside the antique shop, its windows filled with vintage treasures. The bell chimed as I pushed open the door, and an older man looked up from behind the counter. Can I help you? Yes, I said, pulling out my phone to show him the photo. I'm looking for a necklace that was sold here recently. Victorian era, sapphire and gold. His face changed instantly. Ah, yes, lovely piece, brought in by a Mrs. Linda about 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. She'd been planning this, waiting for the right moment while I was distracted with work. That necklace, I said, my voice steady despite the anger burning in my chest, was stolen from me, and I'm going to need your help to prove it. Ezekiel, the antique shop owner, pulled out a thick leather-bound ledger and placed it on the counter between us. Your mother was quite Persuasive, he said, flipping through the pages. She had all the necessary documentation. Documentation? I leaned forward. What kind of documentation? He turned the book toward me, pointing to an entry. There, in neat handwriting, was a record of the sale, and next to it a photocopy of what appeared to be a transfer of ownership document with my signature on it. That's not my signature, I said, my voice sharp. She forged it. Ezekiel's expression softened. I had my suspicions. The woman seemed too eager to sell, especially given the piece's historical value. He hesitated, then added, "Would you like to know how much she got for it?" I nodded, though my stomach was already churning. $75,000. The room tilted slightly. 75,000? The craftsmanship alone made it valuable, but the sapphires were exceptional quality, museum grade. He pulled out another folder. I took detailed photographs before the sale. Standard procedure. The photos showed my grandmother's necklace from every angle, the sapphires gleaming against the aged gold. My phone buzzed. A text from Peyton. "How's it going? Need backup?" Before I could reply, another message came through. This one from my mother. "Darling, I'm hosting a small gathering next weekend to showcase my refreshed look. Do wear something appropriate this time." The necklace. I looked up at Ezekiel. "Where is it now?" "Ah," he grimaced. "That's the complicated part. A private collector purchased it 2 days ago. They're planning to have it restored and possibly split up the stones for modern pieces." Split up? The word felt like acid in my mouth. They can't do that. It's been intact for over a century. "I might be able to help," Ezekiel said, lowering his voice. "I keep detailed records of all my buyers, and—" He pulled out his phone, showing me a series of text messages. "Your mother wasn't exactly subtle about her plans for the money." The messages showed my mother haggling over the price, mentioning specifically that she needed the money for her procedures at Crystal Springs Wellness Center. She'd even attached a photo of her planned treatments, a list totaling almost exactly the amount she'd gotten for the necklace. "Would you be willing to make a statement?" I asked, "if I needed one?" "Young lady, what your mother did wasn't just morally wrong. It was illegal. Of course I'll help." Back in my car, I finally replied to Peyton, "Meet me at Copper Cup in 20. Found something big." At the coffee shop, Peyton's jaw dropped as I showed her the photos and explained everything. "So your mom literally committed fraud to fund her midlife crisis makeover?" "Yep." I stirred my untouched coffee. "And now she's throwing a party to show off her stolen face. What are you going to do?" "I don't know yet, but that party?" I pulled up my mother's text. "I think it might be the perfect opportunity for some truth-telling." Serenity. Peyton's voice held a warning note. "Are you sure that's wise?" "You didn't see her this morning, Peyton. The way she dismissed everything Grandma Penny stood for, everything that necklace meant." I pushed my coffee aside. She needs to learn there are consequences. My phone buzzed again. Another text from my mother. "I've taken the liberty of booking you an appointment at my salon. Saturday, 2 p.m. Do try to make an effort for the party, darling." "God, she's unbelievable," Peyton muttered, reading over my shoulder. "Actually," I said slowly, "maybe I will make an effort, just not the kind she's expecting." I spent the rest of the afternoon making calls, first to a lawyer who specialized in estate law, then to the wellness center where my mother had her procedures done. The receptionist was surprisingly helpful once I mentioned potential fraud investigation. "Yes, Mrs. Linda came in 2 weeks ago," she confirmed. "Paid in cash, full facial rejuvenation package, plus some extra treatments." By evening, I had a folder full of evidence. The forged document, Ezekiel's statement, the wellness center receipt, photos of the necklace, and a copy of my grandmother's will specifically leaving the necklace to me. My phone lit up one more time. My mother again. "Darling, I've been thinking. Perhaps we should get you a little work done, too. Nothing major, just a touch-up here and there. My treat." I stared at the message, feeling a strange calm settle over me. "Thanks, Mom," I typed back. "But I think I'll stick with what Grandma always said. True beauty shows itself in our actions, not our appearance." Her reply came instantly. "Oh, darling, you sound just like your grandmother. So, old-fashioned." I smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Old-fashioned?" I muttered to myself. "We'll see about that." I opened my laptop and started planning. My mother wanted to show off her new face to all her friends? Fine. But I had something to show them too. The truth behind her perfect new look, and exactly what she'd sacrificed to get it. While gathering more evidence at the house, I found myself in my mother's study, a room I rarely entered. I needed her copy of Grandma's will, hoping it might contain additional proof of the necklace's rightful ownership. What I found instead stopped me cold. Hidden in the bottom drawer of her desk, beneath a stack of fashion magazines, was an old leather journal. I recognized it immediately, my mother's diary from when I was a child. I shouldn't have opened it, but something compelled me to read. The entry was dated 15 years ago. Neil left today. Said I'm too obsessed with appearances, that I care more about looking young than being present for our daughter. He doesn't understand. How can I keep him if I let myself go? How can I be enough? My hands trembled as I turned the page. Serenity looks more like him every day. She has his quiet strength, his certainty. Sometimes I can barely look at her without seeing him, without seeing everything I'm not. What are you doing in here? I jumped, the journal falling from my hands. My mother stood in the doorway, her newly tightened face twisted in anger. Mom, how dare you go through my private things? She snatched up the journal, clutching it to her chest like a shield. I was looking for Grandma's will, I said, standing my ground. But maybe you should explain these entries about Dad. There's nothing to explain. Her voice was ice. Your father left because he wanted to, not because of anything I did. Really? Because according to your own words, he left because you were too focused on your appearance. Just like now. She slapped her hand against the desk, making me flinch. You have no idea what it's like to watch yourself fade, to become invisible, first to your husband, then to the world. Mom, no. She was shaking now. You're young. You don't understand what it's like to look in the mirror and see yourself disappearing. To know that every line, every wrinkle takes you further from who you used to be. Is that why you sold the necklace? To stop yourself from disappearing? Her laugh was bitter. That necklace was a relic. Your grandmother and her ridiculous ideas about inner beauty. What good did those do her? She died alone. She wasn't alone, I snapped. She had me, and she died knowing exactly who she was, which is more than I can say for you. My mother's face crumpled for a moment before she caught herself, smoothing her features back into their practiced perfection. Get out of my study. Mom, please, we need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. And if you breathe a word about what you read... You'll what? Steal something else from me? She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. You want to know the truth, Serenity? Every time I look at you, I see everything I've lost. Your father's quiet confidence, your grandmother's self-righteous strength. You never needed any of this. She gestured to her face. Because you were born knowing your worth. Some of us have to fight for it. Fight for it? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. By committing fraud? By stealing from your own daughter? I did what I had to do. She turned away, but not before I saw tears threatening to ruin her perfect makeup. Now get out. I left the study, my mind spinning. In the hallway, I ran into Vivian, my mother's closest friend, arriving for their weekly lunch date. Serenity, darling, you look upset. Did you know? I asked her. About the necklace? Vivian's perfectly lined eyes widened. Oh, that. Your mother mentioned she was helping you modernize. Helping me? I laughed incredulously. She forged my signature and sold my inheritance. Well, Vivian shifted uncomfortably. You have to understand, dear. Your mother's been struggling since your father left. The procedures, they help her feel worthy again. At my expense? Sometimes we do desperate things when we're hurting. Vivian touched my arm. Maybe you could try to understand. I pulled away. Understanding would be a lot easier if she'd actually talk to me instead of criticizing everything about me. She's planning this wonderful party to celebrate her fresh start, Vivian pressed. Perhaps that would be a good time to make peace? I thought about the evidence folder waiting in my car, about the diary entries revealing my mother's deep-seated insecurities. Oh, I'll be at the party, I said, but I don't think peace is what's going to happen. As I walked away, I heard my mother greeting Vivian, her voice bright and artificial. I thought about the scared, hurt woman who wrote those diary entries, and for a moment, I felt my resolve waver. Then I remembered Grandma Penny's words. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is force someone to face their truth. The party was 4 days away. It was time to make sure my mother faced hers. You're really going through with this? Peyton asked, watching me organize the evidence on her dining room table. Even after reading those diary entries? Especially after reading them. I laid out the photos of the necklace alongside the forged documents. She needs help, Peyton. Real help. Not another round of cosmetic procedures. My phone buzzed. Another text from my mother. The party starts at 7. I've invited several eligible doctors from my clinic. Do try to make an impression. Still trying to fix me, I muttered, showing Peyton the message. Speaking of fixing, Peyton said, what about the necklace? Can we still save it? I pulled up my email, showing her my correspondence with Ezekiel. The buyer agreed to hold off on breaking it up. They're giving us 2 weeks to match their offer. $75,000? How would you ever? A knock at the door interrupted us. When Peyton opened it, I was surprised to see a courier holding a thick envelope. Delivery for Serenity? Inside was a letter, written in familiar handwriting that made my heart stop. Grandma Penny's handwriting. What is it? Peyton asked, noting my expression. It's from my grandmother. The law firm handling her estate was supposed to deliver it on my 30th birthday, but I unfolded the letter with trembling hands and read aloud. My dearest Serenity, if you're reading this, I'm no longer here to tell you in person what you need to know. The necklace I left you isn't just a family heirloom. It's the key to something bigger. In my safety deposit box at First National Bank, you'll find everything explained. The box number is 247. The key is taped to the back of this letter. Remember, true strength isn't in hiding our scars, but in wearing them with dignity. All my love, Grandma Penny. Sure enough, taped to the back was a small key. We have to go to the bank, Peyton said, already grabbing her car keys. Now. At the bank, the manager led us to the safety deposit room. My hands shook as I inserted the key into box 247. Inside was another envelope, this one thick with documents and a smaller jewelry box. Oh my God, I whispered, opening the first document. The necklace. It was insured for $150,000. Peyton leaned over my shoulder. There's more. Look at this. She pointed to a paragraph detailing how the insurance policy would pay out in case of theft or unauthorized sale. My grandmother had thought of everything. She knew, I said softly. She knew Mom might try something like this. The jewelry box contained a smaller necklace, not as elaborate as the original, but beautiful in its simplicity. A note was attached. This was my mother's, your great-grandmother's. Not as flashy as the other one, but just as meaningful. Keep it safe, but more importantly, keep your spirit safe. Some people will try to dim your light because they're afraid of their own darkness. P.S. The insurance company's number is in the envelope. They're expecting your call. My phone buzzed again. My mother. I've taken the liberty of having a dress delivered to your apartment. Do wear it to the party. Navy blue makes you look almost elegant. What are you thinking? Peyton asked, watching me read the message. I touched the smaller necklace, feeling its quiet strength. I'm thinking it's time to make some calls, starting with the insurance company. Back at Peyton's, we laid out our plan. The insurance claim would take time, but they were already investigating. The evidence of fraud would help expedite things. Are you sure you want to do this at her party? Peyton asked. It seems harsh. You know what's harsh? I showed her another text from my mother. Darling, I've scheduled you for a consultation with Dr. Marcus tomorrow. Just a little Botox to start. Consider it my gift to you. She's never going to stop, I said, unless someone makes her stop. Then we do this right. Peyton pulled out her laptop. We need to make copies of everything, and you'll need backup at the party. You'll be there? Front row seat. She squeezed my hand. But first, let's get that dress your mom sent. Something tells me you'll want to look perfect when you bring her world crashing down. I touched my great-grandmother's necklace, now hanging around my neck. Its weight felt different from the other one, lighter somehow, but just as significant. Perfect isn't what I'm aiming for, I said. I'm aiming for truth. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Ezekiel. Buyer agrees to hold the necklace until insurance claim processes. Good luck at the party. Sometimes the kindest cuts are the ones that force us to heal. I looked at myself in Peyton's mirror, seeing my father's quiet strength and my grandmother's determination reflected back at me. In 3 days, I would walk into my mother's perfect party and shatter her perfect illusions. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about rescue. even if my mother didn't know she needed saving. The navy blue dress my mother sent was exactly what you'd expect: expensive, conservative, and completely unlike anything I'd choose for myself. I was trying it on when Vivian showed up at my apartment unannounced. "Oh, darling," she cooed, circling me like a fashion vulture. "Linda was right. The color does help minimize your sturdy frame. Did my mother send you to check on me? Can't a family friend stop by?" She perched on my couch, her designer bag perfectly positioned on her lap. "Though I am concerned about this little tension between you two." "Tension?" I laughed. "Is that what we're calling theft and fraud now?" Vivian's perfectly painted face tightened. "Your mother told me about finding you in her study, reading her private journals. That's not very mature, dear. Neither is forging documents to steal an heirloom." "About that." She leaned forward. "Linda's been through so much. Losing your father, watching you pull away. The procedures, they've given her confidence back. Surely you can understand." "Understand what?" I interrupted. "That she values her appearance more than her daughter's trust? That she'd rather steal from me than deal with her real issues?" "You don't know what it's like," Vivian snapped, her polished veneer cracking. "To be our age, to become invisible. Linda was fading away before our eyes." "So you knew? About the necklace?" She looked away. "I suggested the wellness center. Dr. Marcus does amazing work, but it's not cheap. When Linda mentioned the necklace—" "You encouraged her to steal it?" "I encouraged her to take care of herself." Vivian stood up, smoothing her skirt. "Something you clearly don't understand yet, but you will. One day you'll look in the mirror and see time winning, and then maybe you'll understand what your mother did. Get out. Serenity. Get out." After she left, I changed out of the navy dress and into my own clothes. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. "Vivian says you're being difficult about the dress. Really, darling, must you always fight me?" I was typing a response when another message came through. "Dr. Marcus can squeeze you in tomorrow. Just a little touch-up. You'll thank me later." Something snapped. I grabbed my keys and drove to my mother's house, finding her in her usual spot, the kitchen, examining her reflection in a silver tray. "Oh," she startled at my entrance. "Darling, you should have called—" "Stop trying to fix me. I'm not. The dress, the Botox appointments, the constant criticism. I'm not broken, Mom. I'm not the one who needs fixing." She set down her coffee cup with a sharp clink. "Is this about that necklace again? Really, Serenity, your obsession with the past is becoming—" "It's not about the necklace." I pulled out my phone, showing her the insurance documents. "Though you should know, Grandma insured it, against theft. The investigation starts Monday." Her face went pale beneath its perfect makeup. "You wouldn't. Already did. But that's not why I'm here." I took a deep breath. "I read your journals. About Dad. About me. You had no right—" "You're right, I didn't. But I understand now. Every time you try to fix me, you're really trying to fix yourself. Don't you dare psychoanalyze me." Her voice shook. "You have no idea what it's like to lose everything." "You haven't lost everything, Mom. You haven't lost me. Not yet. But if you go through with this party, parading around what you stole from me—" "Are you threatening me?" "I'm warning you. Cancel the party, get help, real help, not another round of procedures." She laughed, but it sounded hollow. "Or what? You'll humiliate me in front of all my friends? Prove you're just as vindictive as I am?" "No." I touched the simple necklace at my throat. My great-grandmother's. "I'll prove I'm stronger than that, like Grandma taught me to be." "Your grandmother," she spat, "was a self-righteous—" "Don't." My voice could have cut glass. "Don't you dare finish that sentence." We stood there, mother and daughter, separated by more than just the kitchen island between us. "The party stays," she finally said. "And you'll be there, wearing that dress, playing your part, or I'll make sure everyone knows exactly why your father really left." I stared at her, seeing not the confident woman she pretended to be, but the scared one from those journal entries. It should have made me sympathetic. Instead, it made me more determined. "Okay, Mom," I said quietly. "Have it your way. I'll be at your party, and I'll wear the dress. But remember, you chose this." As I drove away, my phone lit up with messages from both Peyton and Ezekiel. The insurance company wanted statements. The buyer of the necklace was getting impatient. but all I could think about was my mother's threat. She thought she could use my father against me? Fine. Two could play that game. I pulled over and made a call I'd been avoiding for 15 years. Dad, it's Serenity. We need to talk. The night of the party arrived with an unusual chill for summer. I stood in front of my mirror, wearing the navy blue dress my mother had chosen, but with one significant addition: my great-grandmother's necklace resting defiantly against my collarbone. A knock at my door revealed Peyton, dressed for battle in a sleek black dress. Ready? Almost. I picked up a manila envelope from my coffee table. Dad sent these this morning. Peyton's eyes widened as she looked at the contents. Are these what I think they are? Yep, the real reason he left. I tucked the envelope into my clutch. Mom's going to regret threatening to tell everyone about it. My phone buzzed. Ezekiel. In position at the party. Buyer's final deadline is midnight. Let's go, I said, grabbing my keys. Time to crash my mother's perfect party. The valet at the country club took my car as we arrived. Inside, my mother's celebration was in full swing. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead, champagne flowed freely, and at the center of it all stood my mother, holding court in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Serenity! She air-kissed my cheek. You wore the dress. Though that necklace... She frowned at my great-grandmother's piece. Wouldn't want to be too perfect, I said sweetly. Might make someone jealous. Her eyes narrowed, but before she could respond, Vivian appeared. Linda, darling, Dr. Marcus is here. He's simply dying to show everyone your before photos. I caught my mother's arm as she turned to leave. Before photos? Really? Of course, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Everyone wants to see the transformation, paid for by that outdated necklace you were so attached to. Mrs. Linda? A voice called from behind us. We turned to see Ezekiel, looking dapper in a suit. Might I have a word? My mother's face went pale. This isn't the time. Oh, I think it's the perfect time, I said. Everyone wants to see transformations, right? Serenity, she hissed. Don't you dare. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Marcus's voice boomed through the room. If I could have your attention, I'd like to show you all the amazing journey our guest of honor has been on. A screen lowered from the ceiling, and my mother's before photos appeared. The crowd murmured appreciatively. Now, I said quietly to my mother, would be a good time to stop this. Or what? I pulled out my phone, showing her a text from Dad. On my way, ETA 10 minutes. You didn't. Cancel the presentation, Mom. We can deal with this privately. She grabbed my arm, nails digging in. You ungrateful little... Is everything okay here? Ezekiel stepped closer, holding his own envelope. Perhaps we should discuss the matter of the forged documents. The room had gone quiet. Dr. Marcus was waiting for my mother to join him by the screen. Vivian hovered nearby, wringing her hands. Linda, Dr. Marcus called again. Shall we show them your amazing transformation? My mother straightened her spine, letting go of my arm. Of course, she said smoothly. Everyone wants to see how far we've come. As she walked toward the screen, I made my decision. Actually, I raised my voice. I think everyone would rather see a different transformation, one involving fraud, theft, and a very expensive necklace. The room went silent. My mother froze mid-step. Serenity, Vivian warned. Think about what you're doing. Oh, I have. I nodded to Ezekiel, who connected his own device to the projector. I've thought about it ever since I found out my mother forged my signature to steal my inheritance. The screen changed, showing the documentation of the necklace's sale, the forged papers, the insurance claim. That's right, I continued as gasps filled the room. That perfect new face? It was paid for with a stolen family heirloom, one that was legally left to me by my grandmother. Stop this immediately. My mother's voice shook. Why? Isn't this the transformation story you wanted to tell? About how you turned fraud into facelifts? You don't understand. Actually, I do. I pulled out the final envelope, the one from Dad. Just like I understand why Dad really left. Should we share those documents too? The room had erupted into whispers. Dr. Marcus was slowly backing away from the screen. Vivian looked like she might faint. And then, from the doorway, a familiar voice. Hello, Linda. My father stood there, exactly as I remembered him, but with gray at his temples now. My mother's perfect mask cracked. Neil? I think, he said quietly, it's time we all heard the truth. The whole truth. The room held its breath. My mother looked from me to my father, then at her gathered friends, all waiting for her response. This was it, her moment to choose between keeping up appearances and facing reality. And from the way her carefully constructed facade began to crumble, I knew which way she was going to fall. You want the truth? My mother's voice cracked as she faced the crowd. Fine. The truth is, I did it. I stole the necklace. I forged the papers. I sold a priceless family heirloom to fix this. She gestured wildly at her face, because this was the only thing I had left that I could control. Linda, my father stepped forward. That's not... Don't. She whirled on him. Don't you dare try to comfort me now. You left because I wasn't enough, because I was getting old, because I couldn't compete with all those young nurses at your hospital. I left, he said quietly, because you were destroying yourself, and our daughter. The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Several guests began edging toward the exits. Destroying myself? My mother laughed, a harsh, broken sound. I was trying to save myself. Do you know what it's like? To watch your husband's eyes slide past you like you're invisible? To see your daughter growing more beautiful while you're fading away? Mom, I started, but she cut me off. And you, she pointed at me, mascara starting to run. With your grandmother's perfect wisdom and your father's quiet confidence, you never needed any of this because you were born knowing who you were. I had to create myself from scratch. Mrs. Linda, Ezekiel stepped forward, documents in hand. The buyer needs an answer about the necklace. The necklace? She laughed again. That old thing? Go ahead, break it up. Destroy it like everything else in this family is destroyed. Actually, a new voice spoke up, I don't think we'll be doing that. The crowd parted to reveal an elderly woman in an elegant suit. The buyer, I realized with a start. Margaret, my mother whispered, you're the buyer? Hello, Linda. The woman smiled sadly. Your mother, Penny, was my dearest friend. When I heard what happened to her necklace, she shook her head. I couldn't let it be destroyed. My mother swayed slightly. You knew my mother? I knew both of you. I watched you grow up, Linda. Watched you turn from a confident young woman into someone so afraid of aging that you'd steal from your own daughter. I'm not afraid, my mother protested weakly. Then why? I asked, stepping closer. Why did you really do it? She looked at me then, really looked at me, perhaps for the first time in years. Because every time I saw that necklace, I saw my mother's disappointment. I saw everything I'd failed to be. And then when I looked at you wearing it, her voice broke. I saw everything I could never be. Linda, my father said gently, Penny was never disappointed in you. She was worried about you. She told me, I added quietly, that you were the strongest person she knew, but that you'd forgotten your own strength. My mother's legs seemed to give out. She sank into a nearby chair, her perfect posture crumbling. I forged my own daughter's signature, she whispered. I stole her inheritance. I'm a criminal. Yes, I said. You are. The insurance company is investigating. There will be consequences. Good. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. Maybe it's time I faced some consequences. The room had mostly emptied by now, leaving just our family, Peyton, Ezekiel, and Margaret. Vivian hovered by the door, uncertain. The necklace, Margaret said, pulling out a familiar velvet box, belongs to Serenity. I'm returning it to her. My mother watched as Margaret handed me the box. When I opened it, the sapphires caught the light just as I remembered. I can't fix what I did, my mother said softly. I can't take it back. No, I agreed. You can't, but you can start being honest. With yourself, and with me. How? She gestured to her tear-stained face. I don't even know who I am under all this. My father stepped forward, offering his hand. Maybe that's where we start, finding out who you really are. She stared at his hand for a long moment before taking it, letting him help her up. The insurance company, Ezekiel said, might be lenient if you cooperate, make amends. And there's a therapist, my father added, who specializes in body image and aging. I can make a call. My mother touched her face, smearing her perfect makeup. I've made such a mess of everything. Yes, I said, unclasping my great-grandmother's necklace. But Grandma Penny always said the strongest people are the ones who can admit when they're wrong. I held out the simple necklace. Maybe it's time you borrowed some of that strength. She took the necklace with trembling hands. I don't deserve. It's not about deserving, I cut her off. It's about choosing. Choose to be better, Mom. Choose to heal. As she clasped the necklace around her neck, I saw something shift in her eyes, like a mask finally falling away, revealing the scared, hopeful woman beneath. The transformation she'd really needed all along wasn't the one she'd bought with stolen money. It was this one, happening right now as she finally faced her truth. The morning sun streamed through the windows of the therapy center's waiting room. My mother sat beside me, fidgeting with my great-grandmother's necklace, now a permanent fixture around her neck. The insurance company called, I said, breaking the silence. They're satisfied with the repayment plan. She nodded, still touching the necklace. Your father helped arrange it. He's been very kind, considering everything. He understands about healing. That's why he became a doctor. Before she could respond, her therapist opened the door. Linda, ready for your session? My mother stood, then hesitated. Serenity, would you join us today? I looked up, surprised. In the weeks since the party, she'd been adamant about keeping her therapy sessions private. Are you sure? There are things I need to say, things you need to hear. Inside the therapist's office, my mother sat straight-backed in her chair, but her usual perfect posture was gone. In its place was something more authentic, more human. I've been working on understanding why I did what I did, she began. Not just the necklace, but everything. The constant criticism, the pushing you to change. She took a deep breath. I was trying to make you into someone who needed me, because I thought if you needed me, you wouldn't leave, like your father did. Mom, please, let me finish. She gripped the necklace tighter. But all I did was push you away. And then, when I saw you wearing your grandmother's necklace, looking so much like her, so complete without my help. She wiped away a tear. I wanted to destroy that completeness, because I never had it myself. The therapist nodded encouragingly. And now? Now I'm learning that I can't find completeness by breaking others down, or by fixing my outside while my inside is screaming. I reached over and took her hand. I never needed you to fix me, Mom. I just needed you to love me as I am. I do love you, she whispered. I just forgot how to show it without trying to control it. A knock at the door interrupted us. The therapist opened it to reveal my father. Sorry to interrupt, he said, but there's something you both need to see. He led us to the center's garden, where Ezekiel stood waiting next to Margaret. Between them was a familiar wooden box. What's this? My mother asked. Margaret stepped forward. Your mother, Penny. She left instructions. The necklace was never meant to be just an inheritance. It was meant to be a bridge. She opened the box, revealing not just my grandmother's necklace, but a collection of letters and photographs. Each gem, Margaret explained, has a story. A woman in our family who faced her truth and came out stronger. Penny wanted both of you to know these stories. My mother picked up one of the photographs, a young woman wearing the necklace, her face bright with laughter. This is me. Before you started believing your worth was in your appearance, my father finished gently. There's more, Ezekiel added, pulling out a document. The insurance money. It's not just compensation. It's seed funding for a foundation in Penny's name, supporting women struggling with self-worth and aging. My mother's hands shook as she looked through the photos. All this time, I thought the necklace was about perfect beauty, perfect strength. But it was about real beauty, I finished. Real strength, like what you're showing right now. She touched her face, bare now of makeup, showing its natural age and character. I can't take back what I did. No, I agreed, but you can move forward. We can move forward. Together, my father added, and for the first time in years, my mother's smile reached her eyes. Margaret closed the box gently. The foundation needs a director, someone who understands the struggle personally. My mother looked up, understanding dawning. Me? Who better? I asked. You've lived it. You're living it. She stood straighter, but not with her old artificial perfection. This was different. Real confidence, born of facing hard truths. I'll need help, she said. You have it, I promised, touching my great-grandmother's necklace where it still hung around her neck. And you have this to remind you. Keep it, she said suddenly. I think I'm ready to find my strength without borrowing it from jewelry. As we walked back inside, my father fell into step beside us, not too close but present, healing. You know, my mother said softly, your grandmother told me once that true beauty isn't about never falling. It's about how you rise after the fall. I squeezed her hand. Then I'd say you're becoming more beautiful every day. She laughed, a real laugh, not her old practiced tinkle. And for the first time since this all began, I saw my mother. Not the perfect facade she'd hidden behind, but the real woman emerging from behind it. Sometimes the most powerful transformations aren't the ones you can see in a mirror. They're the ones that happen in the heart, where real beauty lives. And watching my mother finally embrace that truth, that was the most beautiful transformation of all.